Welcome back to Sevenfold. My name is Tim Halverson, and this is the place where we unlock your creativity through the power of design technology in architecture. If you are a curious one, if you want to elevate your design game, this is the place for you. So definitely, if you are interested in that, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications because we'd love to have you back as we continue to explore different workflows, all with architecture outcomes in mind. Today, we are looking at Miro. Now, if you're not familiar with what Miro is, it is an infinite whiteboard tool. Now, let's just hold that for a second and think about it. You remember the days when you write the whiteboard, you get the dry erase marker, you have to take a picture and save it offline and scan it and then organize it. And then you got to turn it into something and become like, either a word mind map, or maybe it's a new drawing, or maybe it's a document or a book or something like that. And you had to understand it. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Or you were starting to do that and you ran out of space. So you filled every nook and cranny of that whiteboard. And next thing you know, you're out of space and you're like, oh my gosh. You're writing like super tiny, and then the felt tip pen is all fuzzy and you're like, oh, I can't even do this anymore. Fear no more. The solution has been found. It's Miro. I love Miro. And basically, you no longer have the constraint of space. You can just keep building over time that whiteboard. You can also loop in multiple people to collaborate on the same digital space at the same time. So you don't have to be fumbling over each other in physical space. You can just see where people's cursors are. We'll look at the features here in a second, but you can build it over time. I've had some boards that keep growing for like over a year, maybe 2 years, right? So we're gonna look at some applications of that. And you also get the benefit of the computer. So you can link in PDFs, you can link in images, your traditional sticky notes and drawing with pen and paper, but you can also have text so it's more legible. So there's all these benefits that add speed and a fluid kind of intuitive nature to how you whiteboard, which is going to only make things get that much better, that much faster, and more robust. So I am so excited to be showing this to you today. Some of my favorite tools that are in it, but I highly recommend, if you haven't already, head over to Miro.com, sign up for an account today, and follow along with this tutorial as we take our first look. All right, so again, my name is Tim Halverson, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside of this tutorial. See you there. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the tutorial. What I'm gonna do for Miro, assume you've already gone over to Miro.com and signed up for your account. So I'm gonna go ahead and just launch Chrome at this point. And I'm gonna switch over real quick to my Sevenfold and go ahead to Miro.com. Now, on the back end here, what you're gonna find is this is the dashboard. And then just to get acclimated, there is a lot of great what's new features that always pop up. If there's something new, they're always updating this. So definitely check out their knowledge base. But I'm gonna give you my favorite overview features right here, right now. So just quickly getting acclimated. On the left here, this is the hubs, I would call them. They call them teams. But basically you have, you can have multiple hubs you're linked into. Then inside that, you've got boards and projects. Now in projects, you can have a subset of boards. So some of these I don't have any boards attached to, some of them I do. In this case, I can just go to all boards. And then if I want to create a new board, just hit the blue button right there. They've got some starter ones here as well, so definitely explore those. I've got my own personal ones here, but let's just kind of open something up from scratch. All right. So it's going to load, and this is going to create a new whiteboard, right? Now you've got this kind of grid structure in the back. It does give you an idea for templates here, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you from scratch. So on the left, you've got your tool palette. On the right, you can see I've kind of got this navigation here, so I can pinch and zoom because I have a touch screen. It will adjust depending on if you have the app installed on your phone or iPad, or if a laptop has touch capability or not. And then this is kind of like a little key. We'll see that develop here in a second. On the upper right, you'll see your account, all the people that are on your whiteboard are here. If you hit the share button, well, let's give it a title. So I'm just going to call this sevenfold first look at Miro and hit save, just hitting enter. And that went ahead and updated it on the left here. This is one of the most important features of Miro is sharing it out. Typically, you can add people into the team. A common practice is actually doing anyone with a link can edit or comment. This is how you'd share it out with your consultants or other team members on the design team, or sometimes even with licensing constraints, different teams, depending on how frequently they use Miro, may use this because you get up to 3 boards at a time at the time of this recording with a free account. So you can just change this to edit and then recommend setting a password to do that. But then once you set that, I can just say right there, and I can say, okay, here's my password, and I can just go ahead and Control C, copy that and set it. And then if I wanted to, I could hypothetically, email this out and paste that, and it'll include the link to the board as well as the password when you paste it. All right, so that's a easy way to share that out. Just to kind of bring it full circle here, I'll just open up Teams. So sometimes it could be internally you're circulating it. Sometimes it could be through email. Let's just go ahead and fire this up for a second. Okay, and then all right, and then I could work over here on my Teams channels. I could go into a chat and just chat that to somebody if I wanted to, etc. So I could go ahead and just say reply and then paste. And you can see right there, Miro board link included. It's got the link to it and the password. So that's the way to go there. So let's dive back into Miro. That's a good way to share. So going back over to Miro here, I'm going to click out of share settings, and let's kind of ignore this for now. Let's just get comfortable with the authoring tools. So some of the most basic ones here are the sticky note, right? So you can place that in place there, just drag and drop. You can pick your color, right? And typically people will color coordinate this. Sometimes it's like the architect will be a color, and then maybe the structural is a color, and you can also alt drag to make a copy and change the color right here if you want. So maybe that's interiors, and when you click on an object, it'll also bring up all the formats. So this is a sticky note shape, but you could also change it to a different type right here. So if I wanted this to be a star, it's going to update right there. And then you can hit undo right up here, but I can also, if you hover on everything, it'll have a shortcut. So Control Z will just flip it back to that sticky note. So in my experience so far, most of the shortcuts are very similar to common shortcuts, mostly in Adobe products, but pretty much any product. So undo is Control Z. You can alt drag to make a copy. You can Control C, Control V to make a copy. And then if you hover on any one of these, there's the like P for pen, C for comment. You can see that right there. Yeah, so one thing that's also really important with Miro is if you build up a key like this, sometimes you can create you can keep things organized by a frame. So what I'll typically do is organize that frame, and then I'll call it something like legend, and maybe give it a white background. And I can also put some text on here and just call that legend, right? Pick a favorite font. I've got Roberto, but you can also do whatever you want with that. And what's cool is if you come back to this and later want to make edits, right? You can just drag and drop that to scale it. Let's say I want to go make some text again, hit T. And let's say it does remember the last used setting. However, if I want to copy the setting to what it is here, I can just type in test. And if I grab this text, I can copy that style, and you can see it has a shortcut. So I'll Control-Alt-C, copy that, and then go over here and paste that style. And once you get the hang of it, using Control-V is super fast. So now I've got the same size as this one here. And so you can do that with any object, not just text. If I want to do Control-C and Control-V, right, I can apply that to as many objects as I want. I could do it to all these at the same time, right? Super slick. So I'm just gonna undo a couple of times to get back. So then what we typically do is, oh, and then one more thing to zoom, if you just hold Control with your pinky and your left hand and then use your mouse to scroll, that's gonna zoom. And if you hold spacebar, that will temporarily turn on the hand, just like Photoshop or Illustrator, and you can pan around like this, all right? Likewise, you can always use these zoom controls here if you wish. But to make a fun, fluid experience, just get comfortable keeping your hand on the keyboard, your left hand on the keyboard, and you're gonna have a great experience. Okay. So with Miro here, you can also, again, you can click this frame and just alt drag that. It will create a whole copy if you want. And I'm just gonna create a new frame. So this is typically how you structure out your content. And if you want, you can change the size to be something printable, like a screen resolution size or a PDF size. Typically, I'm not planning to print these, so I just allow myself to customize it and then just stretch it as needed. Okay, so we'll keep it to the basic features for now, but one of the things I like to do in architecture is really common to take your legend and then you can just paste a few of these onto the canvas. And then people will usually do a pull plan. So a pull plan is basically saying what the outcome is and how long it takes for each, like what's the workflow, right? So if we want to get to design, development, 100%, 100% design development, drawings, right? That's the outcome. And typically you want to make it an action. So you just say delivered, something like that. All right. So then you work backwards from what you want it to be. So you can just drag out from these dots here. And you can say add, same as the object. And now you can say, okay, well, I need to, get my room by room layouts complete, right? And I can just go ahead and pick that and flip this, and it will remember that next time. Then I can just repeat that, and same as object. And now to get that complete, I can say, so you can say room by room layouts. You could say all equipment tagged. I can alt drag that. All equipment scheduled. Right. And so you can do this kind of all these different ways, right? One thing that you might have seen there is, if I hover on it and just click once, it'll actually make a connection and it will typically match. So it tries to kind of infer where you want to make connections to with one click. So that's kind of a new feature that we're exploring. But basically this is a really common way to build up a plan, right? It's just a general flow. It doesn't have any fancy features like how many days this is to complete and calculating timelines like a Gantt chart. I'll refer you to vPlanner or other tools such as that to build a Gantt chart. I also know Trello has a new Gantt chart feature involved, but we'll take a look at that in a separate tutorial. So basically you can build out these kind of flow diagrams with your sticky notes and do it by discipline. And then you can also identify which is going to be a constraint. So there's a whole methodology behind how to do a pull plan for delivering integrated projects. But this is just a quick overview of Miro and how to use that. So explore this. If you share the link, you can get as many people as you want, all adding their sticky notes at the same time, and then building out their sort of discipline specific flows. And then after that, you can find ways to say, okay, to get my equipment scheduled, I actually need some information from my interiors designers and maybe a medical equipment planner or other collaborators on the project. Maybe there's, you need an asset inventory list to understand what equipment is in the facility ahead of time versus what you want to procure and buy new. So this is like a very, this could be a 4-hour, 8-hour exercise with the whole team, but that's a common application. I do want to just kind of highlight some of the ways I've used it in the past. So let's go back to the dashboard just to give you a sample of, at a high level, what I've been using it for. So let's go ahead and just go to development roadmap. And I'll just kind of show this at a super high level. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here. At a high level, I've been using this to help brainstorm different things for Sevenfold to help establish the vision and help identify customers, you can see here how to structure out content and organize it in a flow. I've also been using it for timelines, etc., like this, so I can actually get in here and have kind of a whole year in review. So then I can have different milestones and timelines, and I have kind of a graphic language built up. So this is more loose than a pull plan. It's just sort of different. I call these rubber bands, but it's basically a colored shape that stretches across a certain period of time as a priority. And I can start to see what that looks like across my year for different milestones, different pieces of the puzzle that I was working through, etc. And then, even down here, I was looking at how to plan various content, structuring different pieces of the puzzle for Revit or Rhino or Adobe, just to kind of get things there. It could be as simple as just how you're delivering content, right? Just getting your thoughts on paper and structuring that out. Let's go ahead. So I love the one I want to show here was just the timeline, which is really cool. And then over here, for example, I've tied these two objectives for my business. So I've got kind of a star for a milestone and how to kind of plan all the content, etc., to gamify the system a little bit. So it really is whatever you want to make it. I'm going to show one more. I use this one to help gamify the system. So if you're not familiar with gamifying, it is a process of assigning badges where you can basically, instead of timelines and tasks, you have a badge that's earned when you achieve a certain mission or objective. And then from there, you attach rewards to it. So in this case, I used Miro to create some badges themed off of Mario. I attached descriptions to each of those badges, gave it a name that, for me, made it fun to come to work and to do different things. And then here I've got kind of a prize board that's real incentives, such as a trip or a game or some kind of fancy meal, for example, just to incentivize it. And then I've also got a different badging system over here. This below is a daily tracker to help kind of focus each day for each month so that I'm achieving progress. And as I grow a team, this will continue to grow with that team. So there's some competition involved. And then on the side here, this is the bank. So as you earn rewards, you can fill out the stars and start to build that towards, your goals. So for example, this one is attached to a trip, so I'd have to get 1,000 stars for that, and currently working towards that goal. So how to get these images is really cool. You can actually go, if you're not seeing it, there's this icon finder, and you can just drag and drop any one of these onto the toolbar here. And you can search for icons, and if you find one you like, you can just drag and drop it onto the canvas. Super easy. And then you can also upload anything you want from your, you can upload it from your computer as well. So for example, if I had some, 7-fold logos or whatever, I could drag that onto the canvas, and there you go. There's a PNG. I can scale it down and start to connect that with whatever I'm thinking through. So this is really cool. It's not just the basic sticky notes or text. You can actually upload PNGs, JPEGs, PDFs. So common applications in architecture is actually uploading floor plans, for example, to do drawings on. So you can upload floor plans, pull out the pen and start sketching. That's really common practice. So definitely, check this out. There's a lot of exciting possibilities to get your thoughts straight, to get organized, and to really make some amazing content. So definitely let me know what you'd prefer to see in context in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Try this out. Let me know how much you love it, what's difficult, what's not making sense. I'd love to hear from you. Hopefully this is an eye-opening tool. I know for me, it was a complete game changer to get organized, get structured, collaborate with the right people, and start moving things forward. So I realize this is just the tip of the iceberg tutorial, but hopefully you got some value out of it. And if you did, definitely let me know what you thought in the comments. Hit a like button and consider subscribing, because I'm going to continue to release fresh content designed specifically for architects in the coming weeks and months. Also consider heading over to the 7-Fold Academy. There's mini courses, free courses, and core practice courses currently in the works. So head over to academy.7fold.io to explore our full offering of resources for you to use. So thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. And till next time, stay curious.